I learned Russian more like the normal way. And this is also why I can compare kind of comprehensible input with not comprehensible input, because in Russian I understand, but I'm thinking about grammar. This is the ah like I think the normal way I learned it destroyed it destroyed maybe kind of the language for me, because if I want to talk in Russian, I have to think, because I think about the cases and the endings.
Hi, Sophia.
Yeah, all right. Let's do it.
How are you, Sophia? Well, welcome to the show, first of all.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. Yeah, it's really nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to have you on. And yeah, as usual, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your background, your language background, your first experiences with foreign languages, why you failed. No, just kidding. Whatever you think is useful and relevant.
Yeah. So I'm from Germany. So to introduce myself, I'm from Germany, and my first language is obviously German. And in school, I learned normally in Germany we learn English as a second language, and then we have Spanish or French as a third language. But I went to a school where I had my third language was Russian.
Okay.
So in school I learned English and Russian, like the normal kind of way we learn with grammar and all.
Wow.
The beautiful. So I learned in the normal way, but I always was curious about why it's not working so good to learn a language in this kind of way. And I'm a kind of person, if I want to learn something new, then I look at the people and they are people who already achieved the thing I want to learn. Then I look what they're doing and ask the people normally.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because because you also want the result they have. And so in my school time, I went to the people, or I asked the people they who spoke really good English what they did. And I think the most are that they answered me, I went abroad and there I learned the language, not in school.
Mm-hmm.
And also I watched a lot of films and I read a lot of books. And so I started the same, because for me it was always so strange, and why I have to learn, for example, vocabulary for a test, and then after the test I'm forgetting everything. And at that time I didn't know about the term comprehensible input or the concept, and so I started watching films in English and reading books I liked in English.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is how I really learned English, not in school. And I kind of quit and the learning vocabulary stuff. I remember for example, I think we had to learn vocabulary and then write in the test. And I think I didn't learn them. I just before the test I learned them, because I know I will forget them if I learn them writing or with cards and stuff. For me this was always kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
So
you memorized it. You memorized it. You didn't learn it.
Yeah. So that was for me really important. So I think this is how I really learned English. But to pass the exams you have to do this whole grammar. Yes, it's it's so sad, but I was always in kind of a conflict with myself.
Man.
It's so, it's not good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, in Russian, it was kind of the same for me. And yeah, but I learned it kind of in the normal way in school. Yeah.
So I mean, like classic story when it comes to trying to learn a language the traditional way.
Mm-hmm.
It's good that it was always there in the back of your mind that this is not the way, or there's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
Basically, you just, with that sentence, you just described the entire education system, not just languages, but anything. Like,
yeah, I think.
Like you memorize thing to take an exam, you pass it, and a week later, you don't even know what it was.
Yeah, it's stupid. I think we have to change that in the future.
Right.
I think kind of maybe already it's changing. I don't know if I'm not in school, but yeah.
Yeah, I think things are really slow in schools and so on. So we have the internet, fortunately. So
yeah, and that's good.
Oh, so was it then like after the formal education system when, like you said, it was always there in the back of your mind that something was wrong, or when you asked people that you knew that had learned the language, like you said, they always told you about, watching movies, reading books, going to the country, sort of more natural things, right? Was it then when you started researching and you came across comprehensible input? Or how do you come across comprehensible input? Yeah.
No, it was like in the education system.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of, I said, I told you how I already know about, like, it's not like working for me. So I tried to do the same with Russian, also to like pass my exam, because I had to speak in Russian and for I think 20 minutes in the exam, and answer questions about history of Russia, and
the stress level was through the roof, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it was. And so I searched for like easy, because my level of in Russian is not, it's not that like in English, and I wanted to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And then I searched for podcasts, easy podcast, and I came across a website. I think it's called Natural Language Resources or something like that. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it's really cool because they have the languages and also a lot of resources, podcasts, YouTube channels, and they teach the languages. And there was a podcast. I think it's called Comprehensible Russian or something like this.
Yeah. So we'll link the website in the description afterwards. Right?
I think I can also send it to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's not just comprehensible input, but this is where I found I found this.
Comprehensible Russian, you said?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how the name is.
No worries.
But so I listened. I think this was just my preparation for exam. But that was a big part, like to listen to the podcast and all the stuff, and and there was like the comprehensible way, and so from there I also like started to know about comprehensible input and what is it, and so this was my first contact actually, and it was in the school system, and but it kind of worked. So
Yeah, it was in the school system, but you like yourself actually found a way around it. Right?
yeah, I found a way around it, and I mixed it kind of
Within the system, but outside of that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. And
So,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and so after graduating, you know, it was always my dream to learn Spanish because I also danced salsa and bachata, and
Nice.
yeah, and I like it was my dream to travel to South America, and for that I wanted to learn Spanish, but I wanted to like pass my exam and do everything, like concentrate on Russian, and after that I wanted to learn Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, after this I really this is where I got really into the comprehensible input and what it means.
And have you gotten started with Spanish already, or did you already start with Spanish, or?
Yeah. So okay, I started like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But after my exam, it was my plan to travel to South America, but there was the whole Corona situation and stuff.
Right.
And I traveled to Mexico, and before that, I wanted to like speak a little bit Spanish, and I knew about the comprehensible input, and so for me it was like because it worked kind of for me with English and Russian.
Yeah.
I also wanted to try it with Spanish and kind of make it an experiment, And so like 6 months before I went to Mexico, I started really like learning with comprehensible input.
Yeah.
It worked so well. It was perfect.
And it's fun, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was so amazing because I learned also with Dreaming Spanish. I think you obviously know the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And for me, I love Pablo, and it was so exciting to learn it with this.
Nice.
It was also from like the first video, I was so impressed because I understood like Spanish.
Right. Because you were starting from scratch at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the coolest parts. Like you're starting from scratch with a language, and all of a sudden you can understand what's going on in the story, conversation, whatever it is, right? And it feels amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like magic, kind of, or not magic, but you think it works, or you have this in mind, maybe this is working, and then it actually works, and you're like so impressed.
Right. Yeah, it feels like magic because we're so used to the traditional way in which you want to control everything. You want to know the specific words, everything. And here we're talking about a subconscious process in which you don't really control things, right? You just focus on understanding the language. And like you said, magically, you actually acquire the language and are able to communicate later on. Yeah. It's cool. And where are you in your Spanish journey? Like, can you communicate really well, or?
Yeah, I think I can. So, I started like this experiment where before I went to Mexico, I started with like 2-3 months just with videos, and then I switched to podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, for me, podcasts, I love podcasts. If you're because then you can also do other things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listening if you're driving with a bus or like walking or eating,
Cleaning.
it's a nice way to get input, and also it's really nice. So I listened a lot of podcasts from Espanol con Juan.
Mm-hmm.
I think also he's for me it's really important. I like the person I'm listening to, or kind of they have the same humor, and for me this is really important.
You have to enjoy.
In general, it's important.
You have to enjoy, right? Yeah.
Then I went to Mexico, and also I could communicate. This was for me so crazy, because after half a year, like I was able to communicate with the people there. And I came back and had more comprehensible input, and also practice my Spanish, went to Spain, practiced there. Also, I know I'm like I have friends there from countries from Latin America or from Spain, and I spoke to them in Spanish.
Yeah, it feels great.
Yeah.
And were you listening to podcasts or Pablo's videos for a long time every day, or?
Yeah, for me, I tried to, like, in the beginning stage, every day I tried to listen at least for an hour, or to get the input, and then every day. Yeah, so I got a good amount of hours.
Mm-hmm. So you started with an hour, but then as your ability to understand got better and better, you could access other new resources,
of course, like
interesting resources, right?
Yeah.
You started listening for 2 or 3 hours a day if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also,
I think go ahead.
TV series or stuff I like, podcasts, like interviews and other stuff. Right. If you have, or you pass a stage, then you can also listen to other stuff. Also normal things, not just comprehensible input, but like also TV series and
like resources for native speakers.
Yeah.
I always talk about that because at the beginning it's hard to listen to the language for 3 hours a day because you don't understand anything. I mean, you need resources like Framing Spanish, like you said, in which they adjust to the level you need, to your level, right? Because you study from scratch, right? You don't know the language. But once you get to a point in which you can understand more complex and interesting resources, like, I don't know, documentaries, podcasts, once you get to that point, it's a matter of how much time you're listening to the language. If you're listening for 5 hours, the process is going to be faster than if you're listening for half an hour a day. But once you get to that point, it really depends on you how much time you want to put in, because again, you're going to be listening to the same type of resources that you're already listening to in your native language, so it doesn't really feel like work, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's also where we have or where how much time we want to spend or how much time we have, because I mean everyone has like a life besides like we're still learning, and you're right.
Cool. And was there, after that process with Spanish, that you started your channel, or you had the idea of starting your channel? And of course, I'll also link your channel in the title. Because you guys started recently, right? But was it the inspiration from your Spanish journey that got you into starting your channel? And if you can tell us about your channel, your idea.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was like that because those resources, they help me so much. So I feel like, there is content, German comprehensive content, but I think it's better if you have more comprehensive content, because also for me it's important, like I said before, the person that are like teaching me the stuff, or I have to like the person. And so I thought about, maybe I can do the same or give something back, because those resources help me so much. I want to give something back. And this is why I started my YouTube channel for comprehensible input. And this is,
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's like we can never get enough of comprehensible input YouTube channels. Like, and actually, like, German is the language that I'm focusing on right now. And I started, just like you did with Spanish, I started with German from scratch. And with channels like, in your case, was Dreaming Spanish for Spanish. In my case, was like a couple of channels. There's, I always forget, Naturally German.
Yeah, Naturally, German.
The first one was actually Catherine Shetman. I don't know if you know it. She's actually a school teacher. She started posting the stories she creates in school.
Yeah, maybe. I think,
like a lot of German traditional stories, but I mean from other places as well, like the music, the musicians from Bremen, things like that. Exactly. So that's how it got started, like totally from scratch. But because she created the stories for her students, for like kids, and she does a great job. She explains things slowly, draws, a lot of context, gestures, sounds. It was comprehensible for me. And that's how it got started. And just like you did with Spanish at the beginning, because almost nothing was comprehensible for me besides those YouTube channels, I started like 15, 20 minutes a day. But once I got to a point in which my ability to understand got way better, I actually started this sort of experiment in this September. And now I'm listening to German for 3 hours a day.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Yeah. So I've been doing that for 3 months now. Yeah. I'm confident that in a year, listening to German for 3 hours a day, my knowledge is just going to skyrocket.
Yeah, of course. Nice. Oh.
But it was exactly the same experience with German. And of course, I've done it with Portuguese, Italian, French, and I'll continue to do it with other languages because it works.
Yeah, it works.
And I have fun.
Yeah. And also, I think it makes kind of sense because, like, if we watch children, they do it like we do. Like, first of all, they listen a lot and they get a lot of input and then they start to speak.
Exactly. And is there any resource that you use, like after, so you start from scratch with the language, like Spanish. You search for comprehensible input content, and is there any type of resource that you use as well that helps you in the beginning stages of your project? Like, I don't know, like cartoons or comic books or any other type of content besides like comprehensible input channels that you use?
Yeah, so I think for Spanish, it was really easy because there's a lot of comprehensible input. Well, I think at the beginning you have to, get the basics, like the basic structure of the language. And for this, it was really, really easy to, with Pablo's videos, with the videos from Pablo, because he starts from scratch, he has, this is really what I like about his channel. He has those playlists, like there, like I think beginner, intermediate, advanced Spanish. And so you have like you have your levels.
Yeah, like the whole journey if you want.
Yeah, if you want. Yeah, but like for Portuguese, it's now for me because there are not so much resources out there. It was kind of hard. So yeah, I have from I think natural. Like there's a good comprehensible podcast.
Okay.
I think he's recording the videos and putting it on YouTube. And for me, my trick was to slow it down, because cartoons. I think they help. They would help, but I didn't. I didn't use them. Maybe I should. This is maybe. Yeah, but for me, because I understand Spanish, this was easier to get to Portuguese. Right. But maybe if I would like learn, I don't know, Chinese or something like completely different, maybe I think I would also use something like this, child stories, or also like I think there's so I think sometimes it's hard because you have also to have interest in the stuff you want, and maybe you don't want to like read child stories like just for children, and or watch like cartoons, or you know what I mean.
Yeah, you can watch cartoons for so long. Yeah.
But maybe I think it would be the best because also you need something you need to understand the stuff to get better.
Right. So you're learning Portuguese now, right? And you're like you told me you're focusing on Brazilian Portuguese because it's easier to understand, right?
Yeah.
And because there's way more resources out there for Brazilian Portuguese in general, not just comprehensible input channels, but in general, because first of all, Brazil is way bigger. Right? But it's also because in Portugal they don't dub movies, for example. So it's which is a good thing for them.
Yeah, that's also in Germany. We dub everything. This is also why it made everything so much more sense for me. Like also, I was always so confused by people like from Sweden and Finland. They speak so good English, and I think it's also why because there's not so much dub or like a lot, not no dubbing, or not so much. Like in Germany, everything is dubbed.
Same in Spain.
Yeah.
I think that's actually the reason why in like Finland, Sweden, Norway, they speak so well. So they speak English so well.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to people from those countries, and I know sometimes we kind of have the idea that is the education system and things like that, and I don't think that's the reason. And they told me themselves, so it's not like because sometimes we put that system on a pedestal, and it's just. I mean, for me the easiest explanation is if you look at Portugal and Spain, their neighbors were really close, were somewhat similar in their cultures, but their English is much better than ours in general. And the explanation is exactly that they don't have anything. So from an early age, they're watching movies in English. They're watching cartoons in English, I guess. Whereas in Spain, it's like you said, in Germany.
Yeah.
That. So, the explanation is easier than we think.
Yeah, you're right. And I think also, like, if we would teach, like, in school, other, like, differently,
there's
like then you maybe would, like, be able to speak after school, like the language really. I think also the school system is like it's a big part why we where we don't really learn the languages. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't help. It doesn't help.
No.
Yeah. My point is that, for example, with Finland, I don't know, when it comes to education, like Finland, the school system in Finland is always regarded as like the top
Yeah.
things like that. But I've spoken with people from Finland, and when it comes to languages, it's actually the same. I was going to say shit, but it's actually the same. It's actually the same thing. It's the other things that make it different for Finnish people or Swedish or Norwegian. Not that the education system is any different.
Yeah. Okay, so that proves that there's something wrong. Actually, yeah. Yeah.
So you've learned English, Spanish. You're learning Portuguese now.
Yeah.
Is there any other language that you're learning?
I really want to, like, for example, Russian.
Russian.
To restart and get more comprehensible input because, I learned Russian more like the normal way. And this is also why I can compare kind of comprehensible input with not comprehensible input, because in Russian I understand, but I'm thinking about grammar. This is the like, I think the normal way I learned it destroyed it destroyed maybe kind of the language for me, because if I want to talk in Russian, I have to think, because I think about the cases and the endings, and
Yep.
maybe I want to restart and do it again, or get more comprehensible input, and then I don't know if it is like reversible, Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. That, that process of having to think about everything you want to say, your head exploding after 10 minutes, trying to communicate that way.
Yeah, and you're questioning yourself, like, I'm doing it right, or is it the right way, or like,
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, I think it's like, pretty much the same way when I talk about my own English journey, my journey learning English. That was my journey for 15 years in the formal education system. And just like you learn Russian, that's how I learned English. I could pass the exams. I actually did, but I couldn't communicate. And it was painful when I tried to. But luckily, after that, I always talk about the fact that I had the hope that it was going to help me. But I started watching the NBA, like basketball in English, because I like the sport.
Yeah.
And I watched the NBA in English for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years, until I came to Poland for the first time on an Erasmus exchange program. And everything was in English, like university classes, and we communicated with other friends from other countries in English, so everything was in English. And I could actually use the language. I could actually communicate after those 4 or 5 years watching the NBA in English, like a couple of hours a day, from October to June, approximately. And just like you said at the beginning, it felt like magic.
Yeah.
It's not like all of a sudden one day you wake up and you're able to actually communicate in the language. What I mean is, throughout the process, as I was watching more and more games, I was getting exposed to the language for more and more time. I started noticing that I could understand way more than I could at the beginning, and I was starting to sort of create sentences in my head. So I had the feeling that I was already able to communicate. I just wasn't in an environment to actually use the language until I got to Poland. But I felt it was there. So it wasn't like I got to Poland and all of a sudden, boom, I became out.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So you also use kind of something you like to, like watching ME sports to, like, yeah.
Actually, like I realized afterwards that that was the thing that actually helped me.
Yeah.
Because many times, because especially, like you in Germany or for me in Spain, English is the first language we're in contact with and the one that we're in contact with constantly throughout the whole education system. Because we've been studying the traditional way for a long time. But then we're listening to music, we're watching sports like I did.
Yeah.
It's such a mix of things that sometimes it's hard to give the credit where the credit's due, right? Obviously, then later on, when I started learning about comprehensible input, I read Prash's books and so on, it all made sense all the time. Like, oh my goodness, like this is the actually helped me. But for a lot of people, because they've done both, meaning traditional way and comprehensible input or natural way, sometimes it's hard to know, like, is this the thing that helped me? Or is this the other thing? Is it a combination of both?
Yeah. Yeah, because you can't measure it, like, kind of, it's difficult. But so, yeah.
When it comes to English, I realized afterwards, right? Then obviously when I started learning other languages, I started with comprehensible input from scratch.
Yeah.
And I'm never going back, obviously.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's also, kind of, I'm really glad I discovered the comprehensible input because, I think, learning a language is something that connects you with other people because it's communication and it opens you like so many doors or just also like a new world. And the first time you understand something in the language is it's amazing because
it's priceless. Yeah.
And also you can read books in another language, also a different kind of view on the world and also like languages connected to the countries and the cultures, and I think it makes your life kind of richer. I
always talk about that with German because like before I started learning German, it's like nothing negative. It's just I wasn't particularly interested in German culture. Not negative, just neutral.
Yeah.
But when I started learning German, I felt it like my curiosity, my wanting to learn more about Germany, about culture, about food, Oktoberfest. No, just kidding. No, I mean, like anything about Germany, I felt it like, oh my goodness, I'm so much interested in Germany now as opposed to just my natural attitude a few years ago.
Yeah.
And like you said, it connects people.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think this is why we, we have like the languages to understand each other, to tell each other stories, to write books, to share our thoughts, to think whatever.
Yeah, and then it's like you say, it's a door to other cultures because if you don't speak all the languages, your idea of Germany in this case or any other countries is the idea you get in your own country.
Yeah, like the prejudice.
Exactly.
And World to Bayern, Bavaria. It's
it's Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah, exactly. And same thing with Spain. Like people think Spain is parties, sun, and sangria, right?
Yeah.
And siesta, of course.
Like funny, but also sometimes if you like, for me it was like with the reggaeton thing, like I listen or like I like reggaeton, and then I started to understand like what they're saying, and then it was so not so nice. And then sometimes it's also maybe not too good to understand everything.
No, but I think it's I understand what you mean. I understand what
sometimes
No, it's the reverse. You might think it's the reverse, but I don't know. It opens you up for the truth, which is good. Because it's funny because I have the same feeling with reggaeton. Obviously, I understand the lyrics from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
It's like I don't know how to explain it. Like this is not about language, but it's like I really like the music, the rhythm.
The rhythm.
It gives you into a positive mood, but then you read the lyrics and maybe not so much, right?
Yeah. But this is also like maybe also another side from learning a language or like
I mean whatever. I'll take knowing what it means rather than being in the darkness.
Yeah, that's right.
Like you discover the truth. It's not.
It's also, but it's also, it's a part of like everything. Yeah, it's part of the process.
Okay, so any final message, Sophia, to our listeners? People who want to learn a language or people who are struggling to learn a language. Any final message?
My final message is like consistency. I think like every day a little bit, and to search for something you like. If you like to cook, then search for cook videos. I think maybe also cook videos or something like really easy stuff where they show you how to do things, and search for things you like, and maybe search for comprehensible input. But if there is nothing, then we'll search for something really easy. And also I think what helped me is slowing down sometimes. If it's too fast, like they speak too fast, but you're not yet at that level or you had not enough input to understand understand everything. Then maybe slow it down and try to keep up, because it's really amazing and it opens so many doors to speak another language and to connect with other people. Those things, and those is final.
Awesome.
My final words.
I love it totally. It's just consistency is so important, but both like consistency, but finding things that you like, because I always talk about it, like I'm convinced this is the way to acquire languages, because I've seen it work in myself and other people as opposed to the traditional way. But you're gonna have moments along the way that you're gonna doubt yourself, that you're gonna have frustration, and it's way easier to sort of push through those moments when you're enjoying what you're doing.
Of course. I think with everything you're learning in general, with everything you're learning, consistency and like to have also something you like, what makes you joy, because this is also what I think maybe also a part of like the normal language learning process is like to correct people, like the correcting part. And I think it destroys everything, because then you get like the feeling I'm doing something wrong, I have to correct myself, and you consistently you're questioning yourself also. And I think in everything you want to learn is if you have a bad feeling and this is blocking you from learning, this is stress, I think is also it's logical. Also I think there's an explanation in biology for this. Definitely. But I know this from myself.
That's what I think. Like I always talk about the fact that I don't think you can learn anything in life if you don't enjoy the process. Like you can hustle your way through it for a certain period of time, but sooner you're gonna end up
like in school, like with the grammar stuff, and for a certain time, and then you don't want to continue because you don't want this feeling, like this negative feeling you have when you're learning something.
Yeah, and the process is boring and many things.
Yeah.
but this is the thing I've seen in most people, probably, like trying to learn the traditional way, that when they start out with the language, they feel super motivated. Like they want to learn the language, and that because they love the language, they'd love to travel to, if it's Spanish, they love to travel to South America or Spain, like you did. But then after some time of trying to learn the language the traditional way, they're not enjoying the process. First of all, it's not working not because of them, but because that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, you end up giving up. I've seen it so many times.
Yeah, I know it's out. I know it from other people. I saw this also. Yeah, because then you're so excited about learning something new, and then you get to the grammar and learning this kind of grammar and this kind of grammar and this rules, and you think like, why I have to do this to. Yeah, and why is it this way? I think it's not like, if you're interested in grammar, you can do it, but I think you have to have like a certain level or be really, really good at the language and already speaking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for like, I think it's not good to look up like the grammar rules and stuff if you're like starting to learn the language.
Yeah, even at that point when your level is much higher, I think it could be interesting just out of curiosity. It doesn't mean that it's going to help you actually get better, right? Just okay.
Kind of some not nerd stuff, it's kind of like a special interest.
Yeah, because you like it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You like to sort of uncover the structures of the language, whatever it is, but out of curiosity, not because you think that's going to help you acquire it, because it's not. So,
not in the part of learning a language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. And finally, any plans for your channel for the future? Are you going to create more videos like the one?
Yeah. There will be definitely more videos, but, maybe yourself, like, it takes time. Right now I'm a little bit busy, but there will be definitely. I'm also thinking about like maybe creating a podcast like in some stage, because for me this is what I like the most, kind of. It's like if I'm on a certain level to just listen to interesting conversation. But definitely there will be more videos.
Well, it makes sense. It's the thing that actually helped you the most and that you enjoy the most. So I'm just going to do that, of course.
Yeah.
Perfect. And so the idea is like you have some like videos in which you tell stories, right? Or like TPR style. Are you thinking about any other type of video or just the podcast or?
I'm not sure yet.
Like class or games or.
Sarah, what did you say?
I'm not like the type of content that you're thinking to create in the future. Are you going to do like more stories on the podcast, or are you also thinking about, I don't know, like filming an actual class or games? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I want to go. I want to like, see what I like, what people like, and then create more or less. I want to try new things, and but I'm not sure yet. Like I want one specific kind of video type or something. For me, it's like if I learn the language, then I think first we focus on ourselves, and maybe also we and because also we want to express ourselves, I think, and this is why I also wanted, first of all, to start like with things like what I like, so like people can think about what they want to express in the language, like, because also I think if we start a language, we first of all we focus on what we like, kind of. If you're compared to a baby, they focus on themselves and then on the outside, kind of go from into out.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and then get more complex and complex.
Yep.
Because, this is my kind of what I have in mind. Yeah.
I like it. And look forward to listening to that podcast.
Yeah, good.
That's something that I'm doing now, like with German. There's those like easy German, easy Polish.
Easy. Yeah. It's like me myself as a German, sometimes I think it's fun to watch like easy German and like see what people say.
Right. I love their podcast more than anything, because sometimes with the street talk, right, they ask people, it's interesting, of course, because they're like interesting topics, but sometimes depending on the other person, it might be harder to understand and things like that. But in Easy German, they have a podcast with a ton of episodes, and that's perfect because they're like the two of them just speaking to each other about different topics. I love that one because they adapt a little bit to our ability to understand as non-native speakers.
Yeah,
I find it more comprehensible than the street talk.
Right? This is because in the street talk you have also people like with maybe you don't really understand them, they speak really fast or like don't pronounce some words.
Yeah. Recently I watched an episode about German beer. They did it, not me. That's
I mean it's a big part. Actually, it's true. I mean, Oktoberfest is also a part of German culture, and you can't deny it. It's like this.
But there were some people just talking about beer like really fast, like certain words and things like that. Which I mean, it's the actual language, but it was sometimes beyond my ability to understand.
Yeah.
All right, Sophia. So it's been great. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it was really nice. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And like I said, I'll link your channel in the description, the title and everything. And if you have a website or anything that you want me to link to, I'll also leave it down below. And especially the website that you mentioned at the beginning.
I will send it to you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you really much. Yeah, it was really nice.
Bye-bye, Sophia.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thanks so much for watching this interview. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful for you. And if you want to know more about language learning, language acquisition, like, what's the best way to learn a language, ideas for language learning, the best resources at different levels, here you can find the whole playlist with all the interviews I've done so far with different researchers, teachers, polyglots, and so on. And finally, right here, you smash this guy right in the face to subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.